gentlemen, we are here at the World Cup. Congratulations! First World Cup is underway. We just saw Argentina beat Philippines. Two great fan bases here. How happy are you so far with the World Cup?
Very pleased. I think what we just saw is an incredible game. I think that if you look back in the past years, nobody would have thought that this would even be such a good game, and I think that our compliments have to go all the way to the Philippines for the battle that they fought on the court. Argentina is Argentina. They have the skills, the technicalities. Maybe they were the favorite also from the moment to step on the court, but they had a tough game. They had a tough time to win over the Philippines, and I think that we have to, you know, I mean, welcome to the Philippines to world basketball, I think, on one hand, and
welcome back,
welcome back, but welcome back to a level which, you know, even when we saw them play in Asia, we were a little bit uncertain how much they could even further progress, and I think they shown tonight that they deserve to be here without any absolutely doubts. They played incredibly against Croatia, they played incredibly tonight against Argentina, and of course, congratulations Argentina. Argentina is always there. You can never discount them. Even those senior guys, not to say old guys, they're always there to help, give a hand, to shoot, put the ball in, fight under the basket, and I think it's just nice to see how much heart Argentina always is able to bring. I think we've just seen a wonderful basketball game, and it's extraordinary to see that our game is spreading so much around the globe. We've seen the Finns beat Ukraine.
We saw earlier today Senegal beat Croatia.
Senegal beat Croatia. Croatia has such a pool of talents, but so does Senegal, and we had really to straighten them a little bit out, you know, kind of. They were out of the World Cup in November, back in February, but under the condition that they bring the team, and they have delivered. I think that also Senegal has shown that, you know, when there is a commitment by all, the government, the federation, the family, the basketball family, and the players come, and there's still a few missing. So they can play. Just imagine them with, you know, even more tactical skills than what they are showing this up. They're going to be very dangerous in the years to come if they're able to keep the team and work on them. So for us, it's a wonderful start. You know, of course, Spain on one hand plays its games at home. Maybe the group is slightly easier. We're going to see against Brazil, because Brazil has a wonderful team that played really well, and we're looking forward. You know, we're really excited about it. The US obviously is a little bit still the team to beat, as always, and it's still early in the tournament to see who's going to be up there to be able to challenge. And of course, you know, there's those that write already who's going to play in the final. You don't know. I think everybody has to play their games up to that moment.
What do you think about this format, whereas we can already say who could be in the final, whereas, you know, in past events you could say like a quarterfinal or round of 16, there's at least a doubt, you know, with the cross groups of the groups.
I'm following the US Open at the same time in this particular moment. You know, you have Djokovic seated on the top, and you have Federer on the bottom on the other side, and I think this is, you know, that's a decision that FIBA took. On one hand, you know, to certainly make the life of the fans much easier, because they can actually follow their team through to the next round, which is always difficult, and so that's important for us. We need a success on the court, but we also want to have the fans to have success, to have fun, to know where they go. If they don't know, it's difficult. You lose many fans then, and they cannot reorganize their tickets and their jets, and it's very complicated for ticket sales. So that was one reason. And on the other hand, you know, Spain and US have given us so much pleasure over the past 8 years that at the end of the day, if they deserve it and they win all their games, they deserve to be in the final, and we have to see who wins this time.
What do you think about the Americans that pulled out? I mean, there's obviously their own reasons for whatever. I mean, is it something that, I mean, obviously Kevin, you know, Durant was such a face for FIBA and everything, and not just FIBA, also Team USA, you know, USA Basketball. What do you think about the American situation?
Kevin still is a face for world basketball, for the NBA, of course, for world basketball, for FIBA. he's a wonderful man. He's a great person, and we have so much enjoyed to seeing him playing at the Olympics, at the World Cup the last time. So of course we would all have loved to see him again. He's incredible, just, you know. It's a player. I like him very much, and we have to respect players' choice. We have to respect. It's part of their life. It's part of their, you know. They have to know how much they can give and not to represent their country, and I think it's a pity, yes, of course, but at the same time we have to respect him. We hope he will be back one day, and if not, he has given so much to USA Basketball, to that team, that he deserves. We have to give him a hat, and he deserves our respect 100%. And you know, as long as it's not precious, generally, that players cannot come because someone tells them you shouldn't go or whatsoever, I think that's where then probably we might say, well, that's not really right. You know, a player should be able to wear his national jersey wherever he comes from, whether it's a US player, whether it's a Filipino player in Argentina, and if he wants, he should be free to go. It's something which is it's part of giving back something to the sport where you've born, where you've grown up, and something that you want to give because you just simply love your country. And I think that's something that nobody should be able to just simply stop by administrative or bureaucratic or money reasons. That should not be the case. Our job is to protect them as much as possible, make sure the referees don't let too harsh game penalties so there's no injuries, make sure that our equipment is safe, make sure that the conditions in the hotels, in the training camps, all these are things, and that also our coaches, sometimes they don't exaggerate in taking the stars for too long time, and so that's our job. We have to make the maximum out of it, and owners of the clubs have their job is to protect their assets, make sure they win their games, and that's fine. And I think at the end, the players, it's his job to decide, do I go or don't I go? Do I want to be here? Do I want to be on the world scene? I think that if we achieve the same like a football player that goes to the World Cup, and for him it's a must to be, I think we want to achieve the same, and we're on the way to getting there. This World Cup will grow. We see already now we're growing in a geographical spread, we're growing in public attendance, we grow in what we read in the press here in Spain. We see the attraction it is now, and with the new system that we put up, I think this will even grow further, which will benefit us, will benefit the NBA, will benefit the club owners because we're giving more exposure to everybody, will benefit the players. They have a slightly less charged workload over the next time because they don't have to play so much as they are playing today, so we're giving also something to them and to the clubs. So I think we're on the right track to become much more important as a game, truly global, and this is our interest. It's the NBA's interest, should be the interest of every single club owner and of every single fan that loves basketball, that this becomes even more, and it's absolutely nonsense then to read this will become even more irrelevant. Quite the contrary, this will qualify for the Olympic Games, which some players like, so you know, many players like, so I think we're on the right track.
Is the George injury something that worries you guys? Paul George injury?
Every injury worries us. Every injury. It worries us because we have an injured player, and nobody wants that. I mean, nobody can be anywhere happy whether he's injured.
But the fact that that may lead to somebody saying, you know, oh, we don't want to go because there might be injuries.
Look, that's part of players' own assessment. Players may not go to a country because they feel that the safety is not guaranteed to some country. That's their own choice. Players may get injured because he just walks down the stairs of his own home. You know, we don't want anyone injured, and we are not happy whether it's during a club season or during a national team season. Of course, people are free to express their opinion. Should they participate in international competitions or not? We think that the international competition that the NBA participates in, or clubs release their player, is helping spreading the game across the world, but is also helping, for example, the NBA business. And I'm not going to be tiring in saying that if the NBA, if the Chinese market is open to the NBA, it's because Yao Ming went to the NBA, but also because he went back and played for the national team. Otherwise, that market would have been closed by authorities' decree, and no way they could extract any sort of revenues, which will grow in the future by a manifold for everybody involved in basketball.
How do you think the federations are and will be dealing with the new format with the national team breaks during the year? How far along are we on that?
we're the Congress has just given the green light to move on a few days ago. So federations now know what's coming up. They have decided. Of course, it's not going to be easy for everybody. Some may have more challenges than others, but there's the Africans already start for the next Afro Basket to play on a regular place, because they want to play. They're hungry. Okay, in Europe some countries will do this easily. It's extremely good for them to see the national team there. It's the shirt. The shirt is the key. Okay, sometimes you would like to have all the time the best. If I were to be watching a movie, I would like to have all my best 15 actors in one same movie. It's not possible. So you're gonna have to compromise. You have to produce new talents, and that's gonna be a hard job. It's not easy, and we have a little bit forgotten to produce new talents in some parts of the world. And I think that's gonna be something that we have to relearn, reacquire. We don't have the luxury of having a full school system or education system that just produces talents like that. That's easy then to be on the top, cherry pick, and then make billions out of it. Because you don't have to invest in the school system. Here, the basketball people have to invest. They have to create their club, they have to invest in a club, they have to invest in a junior, and then of course they are trying to grow and produce talents. And I think here, in some parts of this old continent, this will be a little bit more challenging. And federations need to find a different way of working with the clubs. We probably have forgotten how to do that over the past 10, 15 years. One goes one side, the other goes the other side. So it's time to go back, sit on the table, and discuss how we're going to do best for our national team. It's not always about bringing Nowitzki for 20 years in a row every summer to the game. It's about creating the next 10 Nowitzki behind. The same for France, the same will be for Spain. Some other countries will be easier, some other countries will be more difficult. But the page has turned, decisions have been made, and it's time to work in a proper way. Clubs will have to be compensated, maybe even more than they are today, if they are compensated. Insurances need to be put in place, and everything needs to be rounded up. And so the next 3 years, I think the federations will be extremely busy. To put this in place. It's a huge challenge, but it's a challenge which we look forward to, because we are the best sport indoor around the world. We want to become the most popular sport, and in this I think everyone who is in a basketball family shares this vision.
I was just in Dubai at the U17s. It was the third U17 Worlds. The U19s have been for a while. Everybody has now been in the U16 qualifiers, 3 cycles now. How satisfied is FIBA with the new U17 World Championship? New meaning now it's 3 editions old.
I am personally very satisfied, but we have discussions. We have discussions. What's the right format, and how can we push even further the technical development of the countries at that age level? And of course, we see how certain countries are much more advanced. Of course, the US is extremely more advanced at that age level already, and I think that should be. It makes it extremely visual. If I play only amongst my regional neighbors, I don't see that difference. And for me personally, it's extremely important to be on a court and to play against the best of the world. That's how my coaches, my leaders in the federations will see. Shit, maybe something we're doing wrong. How come these guys are 17 and are already so good, and my guys are 17 and are losing the ball, cannot even pass properly, cannot shoot properly. On the other hand, we've seen already that, it's not anymore so. The gap is being reduced as well. So even at that age. So of course it's always talents. They don't, you don't have talents all the time. Not all the teams can always get the best at that moment when they need them. But I think here the US team came with the best they could, and still the final was a final. So I think we're already moving a step further, and it's proven right that we have to push. You have to push this. We see a lot when we play also at that level that the basic skills the way people learn and are taught basic skills is very different from country to country, and it makes a huge difference the more you go up, and that's what creates then a big gap. Athleticism, physical as well, of course, you know, how that's something that probably people need to learn a little bit, how that happens in the US, and why are even seniors compared to juniors much fitter physically. They can keep the 40 minutes without the problem. Then of course not everybody will have a bench of 24 players and every single one is worth more than the first one, so that's not possible, and that's what makes the difference. But still, I think that's the physical activity, the skills, I think that's what helps us a lot in the under 17, and that's also something why we push a lot the 3-on-3 for many other reasons, but also because we want people to focus on the skills. We want to obviously open markets and do things, and you know, have new countries coming up, etc. But that's a skills game. It's not about big muscles, 2 meters 10. It's about creating skills. We've seen the Philippines here playing with a number of what would be guards in Europe. They couldn't even play, but still they play. I mean, you know, they push. And the Philippines have a similar system as the US. They have a lot of schools. They play basketball all the day. Of course, they're crazy for basketball. So, but they do work on the fundamental, and you see immediately. Then team-wise, different story. You have to, you know, this needs a lot of international experience to get to the tactics at some level and things. But that's what the under 17 brings to us in that context. And I think to make these measurements where the world stands towards the best in the world is always very good for all our members to see. And then we are also happy, of course, we did this for the first time in the Gulf region. It doesn't happen very often that we are able to go out of a country that is not the basketball traditional country, and I think for them it was also very good because they have ambitions in many things, in sports, and I think the fact that they had to organize it at the standards of an international federation, something different, because to organize a tennis tournament is maybe different from organizing a basketball tournament, a world championship. So, and I think it was even good for them, and they're very appreciative because it gave them a lot of hard lessons on how to organize an event that they can, they showed they can, and they can even improve, and whatever they want to do in the future in our sport, in others, they now have a good base of knowledge. And for us it's good to also be in that area because there's a lot of kids that like the game as well.
Last question, because I know you have plenty of other things. We didn't get 3-on-3 in the Olympics. What's the status of it? Is there going to be another attempt? And I know there's the expansion of the Masters in general, but just you know briefly, what's the status of 3-on-3?
Well, 3-on-3 is growing. For us, we are already reaping some benefits in the sense that there's a lot of countries that now start to understand, hear, talk about, and embrace the discipline. Come and play at the Youth Olympic Games. 30 countries were playing with 40 teams, and you had teams that you have Andorra men and boys and girls. They were competitive. I mean, they really play well. You have so we had an extraordinary final, both in men and women. I mean, even the Netherlands girls, they were very close to the US team in Ning, and the final was an extraordinary game from the intensity and from how the game is played. So I think that we've shown that the game is for more than just our traditional basketball countries, many more. It's easier to play, cheaper to play, and you can go faster up in a world level really fast. Second, the game has a nature of itself, because it's not just a replica of a big game like here, of the core game. It's really because of the fast speed, the 10 minutes, no coach. It has a totally different thing, and it's really a standalone discipline, which I think is. We're very happy now coming out of Nanjing that we were able to confirm that now the teams start to be composed of good players that kind of match what is needed for 3-on-3, and that's good. And then the third thing is it's extremely successful and popular around the globe, and it was again successful at the Youth Olympic Games. It attracts, it's strong competition, it's a lot of fun around, and it's very youth oriented. It's something that we do hope has all the necessary ingredients for the IOC when it wishes to review its program, to say, I want to rejuvenate the program, I want to bring some attraction in it, with something which could be as exciting, if not even more, than beach volleyball. We think that 3-on-3 has that potential. Now it's a matter for the IOC. Within there, they are going through a lot of revisions through the Agenda 2020 that the President Bach has put in place. And one of the points is flexibility on the program. And as soon as this is, and we know a little bit more clearer how the process will go, we will be in the first line again with our request to put there for Tokyo 2020.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. As always, it's a pleasure.